Hey guys, this is Ankit and welcome to the Nginx task series. We are doing a list of basic tasks to get ourselves familiar with Nginx. We are following the Docker and Nginx documentation for our videos. You can always get more details by going to the repository thecloudterminal01/plan-devops. For today's task, we have the following objectives. We will start the Docker container with custom conf and HTML directories. We will understand the contents of conf and HTML directories. We will hit different endpoints and validate. We will understand concepts like proxypass and accesslogs. The total amount of time we will be spending will be around 10 to 13 minutes. So let's begin. Let's begin with our first subtask. We will start a Docker container with custom conf and HTML directories. This is the conf.d directory and this is the HTML directory which already has these files. These are the same files which we copied in task 1 from the container. We have modified them a bit as per our requirement. Let's try to go through this default.conf file and understand different sections. Over here, this particular section specifies that the server will be running on port 80. This is specifically for IPv6 connections. Over here, we are saying that the server name will be localhost. This is to enable the access log or access logs inside the container will be at this particular path. Over here, we are saying that if anyone hits /, then you should look for corresponding HTML files in this directory. Now, this particular section defines the error pages that will be displayed when the server encounters certain errors. For example, if it encounters a 500, 502, 503 or 504, it's going to use user share nginx html 50x.html file. This section defines the configuration for /50x.html URL. For that, it's going to use the corresponding file in this directory. Now, this particular block provides an example of how to proxy PHP scripts to an Apache server which is listening on localhost 8080 or any other port on which Nginx is not running. We'll try to understand this by setting up our own proxy server inside the container and using proxyme as the location URL at which if we hit Nginx will proxy to our server which will be running on a different port. Now let's move ahead, and this is the deny section. It provides an example of how to deny access to .ht access files. We'll test this deny part ourselves by using /deny_me location URL. So our HTML directory has this 50x.html file and index.html file. Let's start our Nginx container by using this command. I'm going to copy this and paste over here. Let's stop any stale containers if present, and let's start the Nginx container. The container is started. Let's go through the command that we just ran. The -rm option specifies that I want to remove the container once it stops. This is the name of the container, docker nginx. I want to map the container port 80 where the server is running to host port 8080. So if I do a curl request to localhost 8080, it will be directed to container port 80. I want to run the container in detached mode. I want to mount the volume pwd html to this particular directory inside the container. I want to mount pwd conf.d to this directory inside the container. And the image that I'll be using to start the container will be Nginx. Now let's exec into the container and see whether our files have been mounted or not. So I will copy this command and go inside the container. Let's go to user share Nginx HTML, and over here we have our files. Let's go to etc conf.d directory as well, and over here we have our default.conf directory. Now let's start hitting our endpoints and see whether our Nginx container is working as per our default.conf file or not. So when we hit localhost 8080, we are able to get our page, hello Nginx. This Nginx page is brought to you by Docker, which is as per our index.html file. Over here we had specified that if you hit / then you should use the corresponding file in this folder, which is index.html. Now if I hit 50x.html, which is specified over here, I should get a page which corresponds to this. So let me go back over here, copy this URL and open a new tab and run this, and an error occurred, and this page is again according to this particular HTML file that we have set up. Let's check other endpoints as well. We can hit /deny_me endpoint, which we had set up over here to deny the request with a 403 status code. So I'm going to copy this, and as expected we get a 403. Let's move on to proxypass. Over here we have set up a /proxyme endpoint which should proxy the request to localhost 1337/index.html inside the container. Now inside the container we already know that port 80 is used by Nginx, so we will log in into the container and run apt update. Now let's run apt install python 3, and let's go to this particular directory where our HTML file is present, and over here let's start a simple HTTP Python server which will be hosted on 1337 port, and it will be listening to 0.0.0.0, which means everyone. So our server is started inside the container in this port. So now if I hit this particular URL on the browser, I should get the index.html file, which is hello Nginx, and if we try to understand, I have hit localhost 8080 on my host. Then the request went to the container port 80. After that, it saw that there is a proxypass URL that is proxyme, which is saying that you have to go to localhost 1337/index.html. So it went inside and hit this particular server which we had previously run, and we were able to get the index.html file as a response from this server, which was passed to Nginx and finally was received by us. So this should give you some idea of how proxypass works, I'm going to stop this server now, and let's move on to our next subtask, where we will check the access logs. So I will go to varlog nginx directory, which is as per our configuration, and over here we will find this particular file. Let's check the last 5 lines, and you can see this is our access logs. So this completes all of our subtasks. That's all for today. See you in the next video.